going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to can venison meat. Now, this is a process that our ancestors have been doing for generations, and it's just kind of been lost over the years. It's a really easy process, and it's a great way to preserve venison or any other kind of meat, especially when you're running low on freezer space. So in front of me here, I have a whole deer shoulder bone in from a deer that I harvested earlier this season, another half of a shoulder, and then some neck trimmings as well. I just had these in the freezer, vacuum sealed. I pulled them out, let them thaw out. Now I'm going to debone them, cube them up, and then we're going to go ahead and can them. Alright guys, so here I have all the deboned, cubed up venison meat ready to go. So in this bowl I have all the shoulder meat, and in this bowl I have all the neck meat. I'm going to go ahead and just start stuffing them in the jar, and I want to make sure they're really packed tight and there's not a lot of room. And at this point you can also add like carrots, celery, any kind of potatoes, any kind of vegetable that you would want to can, and make it like a little stew. But I'm just going to keep it plain and simple, and I'm just going to add meat, and that's it. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, but I want to do it like this so that if I do want to, add it in a soup, I can go ahead and do that still. But I can also make like tacos, or just pull the meat out and add it to a whole bunch of different recipes. Alright, and then there you go. All the meat's packed in there. I'm going to actually take a little bit out of this one and just make it a little more even. And you want it all packed in there pretty tight, because just like any other time you cook meat, it's going to start shrinking and losing some of that moisture. So you'll have a little bit of room left in there. Just make sure it's all even and packed in tight. Not a lot of space left in the jar. Alright, now that our meat is all packed in our jars nice and tight, I'm going to go ahead and add some salt. So I'm just adding this for seasoning purposes. It's not for any preservation purposes whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle about a teaspoon or so. Just kind of cover the top of it, of all the jars. And at this point, like I said, the salt is just for seasoning, so at this time you could add any kind of seasoning you like. You can also, like I said, make it a soup or a stew or anything like that. I'm just doing more generic kind of recipes so that I could add it to any other recipes down the road if I want to. Before we go ahead and put the lids on, we want to make sure that the rims of the jars are nice and clean. So right here I just got a paper towel with some white vinegar, and just going to make sure that there's no meat left over on the rims of the jars to help that connection seal nice and tight, and to prevent any kind of bacteria growth whatsoever. So I'm just going to go ahead, like I said, clean paper towel or cloth with some distilled white vinegar and go around the rims of all the jars and just make sure there's no leftover, no meat or anything like that on the jars. Now we're going to go ahead, take our lids, make sure they're nice and clean and just hand tight. Seal up all the jars. Now we're ready for the next step in the process. Alright, now we have our canned venison ready to go into the pressure cooker. So I had to, the quart size mason jars didn't fit inside the pressure cooker, so I had to transfer them to these pint sized ones, which is no big deal. I got a grate down there with some water, so they're not right on the bottom of the pressure cooker. So I'm just going to go ahead and load up the mason jars in here. Alright, got them all packed in. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on there. Go ahead and got the canning preserving. Set it for an hour and a half and let it do its thing. Then we'll come back and check on them when they're done. Alright, it's been over an hour and a half. I'll let the pressure cooker relieve the pressure naturally. Go ahead and take the lid off. I'm going to go ahead and take all these mason jars out. They are really hot. There you guys have it. Really simple, easy. This is 100% just pure venison that's canned. These mason jars are still really hot, so I'm just going to let them cool off to room temperature right here on the counter, and then you can either store them in the pantry and just where you keep all your other canned vegetables, or you can throw them in the fridge, but leave a little bit of headspace in there because through the canning process, as you guys can see, there's a little bit of juice that comes out of the meat, and you just want to make sure that you leave that headroom there so it doesn't get too full. I did have a little bit of extra venison, so I went ahead and did a couple mason jars that are going to be venison stew. So I put some onions, some carrots, some peppers, and then seasoning. I got some rosemary in there, salt, pepper, and then just like a couple other seasonings. Celery salt because I didn't have celery. I'm sorry, celery powder, and then I think I just put a little cumin in there, and that's it. But whatever you guys like to make soup with, and I just put that in there. I'm going to follow the exact same process. I'm going to go ahead and actually just throw these right back in. The water's still pretty hot. And then just space these out. Go ahead, throw these in there for another hour and a half. Do the exact same thing, and then I'll come and check on them after an hour and a half, take them out, let them cool on the counter, and that's a really simple, really easy way to preserve venison. And there you guys have it. So these ones in the front were the ones that I just took out. I added the vegetables to. I followed the same exact process as I did with the other ones, and I just got done taking them out of the pressure cooker. These other ones, they've been sitting on the countertop for about 2 hours now. They're about room temperature now. I actually cracked one of them open and just to try it, and it is shockingly delicious how good this is. And I ate it just like that. And I could only imagine if you added it to a recipe like making tacos, making pulled venison sliders, or anything like that. These are good to keep on the shelf. They're shelf stable for, I've heard people doing it for 2+ years. You could just keep it in a cool, dry place, in a cellar if you have one. That's ideal. If you're ever curious as to, if it's gone bad or spoiled, just open up the jar and give it a smell. But as far as canning meat, save space in the freezer. It's a great way to preserve your meat, and it's shockingly delicious. And you can also add it to so many other recipes. It's very versatile. If you guys have never canned venison or any meat, I highly encourage you to try this out and let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to see a follow-up video as to other kind of recipes that I can make with this canned meat, go ahead and leave it in the comments, and then I'll try to make a follow-up video with that. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much for the support. God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.